How did I become an executive coach for technology leaders and leadership teams? It's a question I'm asked quite often. So I thought I'd just let you know my story. I thought I'd share that with you. So my story begins quite a while ago, actually. So I have a few decades of experience in and around product, and it started before the very first internet bubble burst. That was my first role in an internet startup, and I'm happy to say that the startup survived the bubble bursting in 1999, 2000, but I wasn't so crazy about the instability that went along with the job. So I very happily and luckily got a job with Yahoo in Sunnyvale in Silicon Valley, and went and worked with them for a few years, learning a more structured approach to developing products. And after a few years with Yahoo in Sunnyvale, I had an opportunity to go with them to London to help launch local search across Europe. And I jumped at the chance because I'd never really had a chance to travel internationally at that point. So being in London was something that I absolutely loved, and working with Yahoo in London was something I absolutely loved. So instead of staying for the 3 months as I was supposed to with my project to launch local search across Europe, I ended up staying for about 1.5 years. And when that time kind of started to wrap up with Yahoo, I kind of went back and forth between San Francisco and London for a while, and then finally settled into a head of product role with Mood.com, which was a startup at London at the time that had a delightful product line, an amazing customer base. And I'm very happy to say Mood.com is still around as well. And I stayed with Mood to introduce product into the organization, to bring UX in as well. Stayed with them for a few years before I decided that I wanted to go do my own startup. So while I was looking for my own technical co-founder and kind of refining what my product was going to be, I started doing some consulting for VC groups to help their portfolio companies learn about product from the get-go. So learn about how to build them, how to think about them, how to hire for them, all of that. And I really enjoyed the diversity of that work. So I just kept doing that. I put my own startup idea very much on the back burner and helped a lot of other people bring theirs to life. After a few years of doing that, there was this big wave that was starting called the digital transformation wave, where organizations, larger global organizations, wanted to learn how startups were building products. So I went and worked with a variety of different organizations in a lot of different industries to help them understand how a startup might approach a product challenge, or building a team, or bringing it into an organization in a wholly different way. And it was really interesting work because it was, no matter if we called it digital transformation or product transformation or technical transformation or cultural transformation, it was a new way of really being able to influence a larger organization at scale and how they were thinking about products and building products. Probably about 6 or 7 years ago, as I was still doing that consulting work with larger organizations, I began to realize that the questions that my clients were bringing to me might actually start out about, strategy or OKRs or measurement or team topology, something like that. Very soon into the conversation, questions that were much more personal were coming up, much more human were coming up. Things like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to influence my boss or get my boss on board with this new idea that we want to take forward. They just don't listen to me. They don't seem to respond to me. Kate, what do I need to do to get them to understand where I'm coming from? Or my team doesn't seem to be motivated or engaged and ready for another round of changes. Okay, what do I need to do to make sure everybody's on board and understands why this is so important? Or even, I'm really tired. I'm really exhausted. I'm not sure I even want to do this job anymore. Kate, tell me about what you do as a consultant, because that sure sounds good. And a lot of these questions, I was so, privileged in many ways that people would bring me this type of question, want to have this kind of conversation with me, but I really didn't know how to respond to them. I didn't feel I had the skills to help them answer these questions. So that's when I started looking into coaching, and I did my very first coaching training probably about 6, 7, 8 years ago. Time really does fly. And I loved the training. You know, I didn't take it to become a coach. I didn't take it to become accredited. But I wanted to learn the skills that coaches had and bring that into my consulting toolkit, really. But I found that I was so drawn to the methodologies, the thinking, the research, the reading, the practice, all of it, that after a while, I really started to reinvest in coaching and coaching training and coaching in my work. And at the same time, as you guys all probably well know, there's been a huge pull of coaching into our product work. So it just kind of all came together. A few years ago, I went back and became accredited as an executive coach. And now I really just focus on working with individuals and teams to help them overcome a variety of leadership challenges and to become the best leaders they can be for the organization. So that's my story. That's how I've gotten to where I am now. What comes next? We'll have to wait and see. But we all have stories about what's brought us to where we are currently in our jobs and our roles and our careers. I'd love to hear yours and to hear and to hear what you're bringing to your work now and what you'd like to focus on next. So drop me a line and let me know if you have any more questions about my journey, or if you'd like to share with me your journey. I'd love to hear it as well.